They do not recognize us as we exist. We are invisible to the Israelis. My name is Rafat Abu Aish. I come from a town called Lakiya in Al-Naqab. Al-Naqab is around 60% of the historical Palestinian land, of the land of historic Palestine. That's the major part of Palestine is Al-Naqab. And Al-Naqab is not all desert, but the desert of Palestine exists in Al-Naqab. The northern Naqab is a very green area, has always been an agricultural land. People used to plant in this area. And the whole Naqab was inhabited by Palestinian Bedouins. The Bedouins of Al-Naqab before 48, there were here around 100,000 people. To be more exact, around 95,000 Bedouins were living here. Yani 88 Bedouin villages were demolished, and where people were kicked out of 88 towns in Nakba, and that's a number that not a lot of people know. First of all, that 10% of people that stayed, the 11,000 people that stayed in Al-Naqab, in 70 years of occupation, we turned into 350,000 people. So the Israeli politicians did use that and said, at some point, Naftali Bennett, who's the prime minister now, said that the rise in the Bedouin population is a danger to the Judaism of Israel, and we need to stop it. And in the past 10 years have witnessed many army bases move to Al-Naqab, and most of the Israeli army is now based in Al-Naqab. So that's militarizing the area because of how strategic the area is. We have 36 unrecognized villages in Al-Naqab. The term unrecognized means that occupation does not see those villages. These villages are prohibited. They don't have no water, no electricity, no infrastructure, and even the firefighting and ambulances don't go inside these towns. And the only time the Israelis would go into an unrecognized village is to demolish a house. In the past 5 years, 11,000 houses were demolished in Al-Naqab. In the year 2018 only, 2,775 houses were demolished in Al-Naqab. That's more than what was demolished in all the historical Palestine area in the same year. So the home demolition policy is a great danger and like one of the worst things that is happening to the people of Al-Naqab. I come from a recognized village. There are 7 recognized towns in Al-Naqab. One of them is the city of Rahat. So coming from a recognized town means that you grow up having electricity, having water, having infrastructure, but then you see the discrimination in other ways. When you compare these towns to the Jewish towns next to them, and in some cases like Tel al-Saba and Umar, but then Tel al-Saba is considered to be the worst situation town when it comes to the welfare scale in Israel. And then you have lots of unemployment, lots of violence, and also you see the town and you see that it looks like a ghetto. But next to it, there is Umar, which is considered to be the richest town in occupation and in the best welfare rate in all the country. And that's systematically made to be that way. It's made to be that way. You get discriminated against in budgets and services, in ways of life. What Israel is doing in the past years is trying to cut these towns from expanding. And they cut many of the villages area. And today we have a project that is supposed to start. They are supposed to start building it next year. The biggest intelligence army base, it's supposed to be in Lakiya area. And that's only to take the lands of the people and to not let them expand more. They want us to make us into tuna cans and into poverty towns.
הפגנה בו על רקע נטיעת העצים של הקק"ל בתוך אדמות של אנשים. אנחנו רואים בנטיעת האדמות האלה סרטן שהם רוצים לשים אותו בגוף של האנשים. אנחנו לא נקבל את השיטה הזאת בכלל.
The Jewish National Fund is the body that's doing the forestation in the Naqab area, that's taking the people out of their land and putting forests in their place. The Jewish National Fund is the biggest non-governmental organization in Israel. It has its own budget that nobody knows how much, and they don't show or declare how much budget they have. But then they are supported by the Israeli governments, all the Israeli governments through the years, with all the actions they want to do. What they're doing is forestation. They plant forests. In Al-Naqab, they started for years. What the GNF propaganda says is that they are making the desert green. What we are saying and what exists on the land, they are not working in any desert. All the areas that the GNF planted in Al-Naqab are green agricultural lands, and they would use them to greenwash Israel to say that they are making the desert green. But then that's all not true. All the methods that occupation is using on Palestinians in Al-Naqab are to take the land from the people and to declaim and stop the claims for ownership of Bedouins on the land, on their land. That's all what they're doing, and that's all what we're fighting for. We don't think we are victims. We think we are fighting the fair fight. These are our rights, and we are still here, still fighting for them. When they demolish a house, the people build a tent on top of the house that's demolished. We stay in our lands, and that's what's killing them, because non-Israeli has the connection with the land that the Bedouins have. If they demolish an Israeli house, they would leave to the States or leave to any country in Europe. But then nobody would stay and build again or live without electricity and water more. We are not fighting for services. We are not asking to get water and electricity in unrecognized towns. We are not asking for a better life. We're asking to be here and to admit that we exist and we have the right to own our ancestral lands.